feelings. Feelings lead to behaviors. Behaviors turn to habits. Habits mature to become character. And from character, it becomes a personality. We can reverse it by having the mind of Christ, so that what comes into our mind, because the source is the word of God, it will change how we feel. It will change how we behave. It will change our habits. It will make our character to be like of Christ. And finally, our personality is going to be godly. Amen. There is hope for us, and there is hope for our children. My brothers, you might have married a virgin, but at 40 years, during the secondary adolescence, she becomes a lesbian. How can we avoid that?
And see, how can we develop ourselves, add knowledge to ourselves, bring great revolution in this development of marriage and family while others are collapsing?
It has been found out that boys, I'm very specific, boys raised in single-parented families have high chances in getting to a lot of crimes in our society in comparison to boys who have been raised in a more stable, healthy family. For men, love is commitment, it's not a feeling. And sex for men does not mean necessarily love. If I'm thirsty and I drink water, does it mean I love water? That's the mind of a man. Research has found out that healthy marriages produce healthy children and healthy family members as far as their mental and emotional experiences are concerned.
And so we come into this world ruined creatures. We come into this world creatures who are in danger of eternal damnation, the eternal wrath of God. Every single human being comes into this world bearing the sin of Adam, both its corruption as well as its penalty. Yes. So sin is not something that that comes to us after we are born. It's something we come into this world with. That.
Yes, welcome once more this night as we have a special edition of Rebuilding Family Foundation. For all who have been following us, we are quite sorry today due to technical issues. We could not start on time, but still we are within our time framework so that something good we can share, we can learn, and we can help ourselves to grow as far as knowledge is concerned and as far as our life development is concerned. Welcome, this is Rebuilding Family Foundation coming all the way from Mombasa, Kenya, so that we can be able to learn, to grow, and much more than that, to add wisdom to ourselves. As I've been saying in other episodes from my great teacher of marriage and family, who defines marriage as a deliberate step to take a risk to live with a stranger with hope of a good future. Unfortunately, most of the time when people think about getting to marriage relationship, what drives them is the aspect of the 1% of the whole system and institution. My great teacher once told me that in marriage, 1% is food and sex, and 99% is what you think about your spouse. I repeat, he said that in marriage, 1% is food and sex, but 99% is what you think about your spouse. But most of the time, people jump into marriage because they want a woman who can cook very well, and someone wants a man who can supply something and food for them to eat, because one is trying to run away from lack and poverty, and some jump in just because of sex. But food and sex is 1%. 99% is what you think about your spouse. Now, what you think affects how you feel, and how you feel affects how you behave, and how you behave affects your day-to-day habits. And your habits are so much connected in one way to another towards your character, and your character makes your personality, which describes who you are. Now, for us to become better and to enjoy the 99% and start investing in the 99%. I'm happy because right now you are tuned to our program so that you can get to learn something good and you can add value to yourself. And I believe through our program, each and every time as we'll be coming on air, my responsibility will be making sure that we learn on how we can invest in the 99% so that by the end of the day, we can achieve a 100% results for a great success and for a great future. Welcome once more. The last 2 weeks, we've been learning about stupid decisions which couples make. And there are a number of things which we had learned before. If probably you missed it out last time, I'd like to encourage you to go to our YouTube channel, Rebuilding Family Foundation, and just search for that episode. We talked about 5 stupid things which couples and decisions which couples make, which most of the couples make. And today, I'm here for the next few minutes. We discuss the other remaining 5. If you missed the first 5, kindly go back once more to the other episode and learn from it. And I believe as you do that, in one way or the other, you're going to add value to yourself. Why? Because knowledge has power. And not only power, applied knowledge brings absolute power in one way or the other. Are you there? If you can hear me, if you can get me, if you have been waiting for this program to start, kindly communicate something, type something, let me know who is together with me at this particular point, even as we are learning great things about life. If you are there, you can hear me, kindly communicate. How has this program brought a change in your life? Number 5, what are other stupid things which couple or decisions which couple make in their marriages? I can hear someone is telling me, please, can you just remind us about the last episode? Now, for us, for those who are requesting for the same, the first thing which we learned last time, which is a stupid decision which a couple can make, is having what we call stupid secrets, withholding important information for fear of rejection. There are times in life whereby instead of keeping something secret, it's better to bring them into light, tackle them, discuss, deal with the issue, and progress in your development. But the moment you start living in secret and keeping things in secret, it is like someone taking a coal of fire and putting it on the stomach without remembering that it will burn him or her in one way or the other. More about it, go to last episode. Also, we talked about stupid egotisticism, whereby someone has this kind of philosophy: my freedom, my right, my freedom, rights to do what I want is the most important thing than how you feel. And we found out that there are some people, yes, they are married, you left your father, you left your mother, you decided to start one family, but still, your philosophy is all about your freedom, it's all about your right, without taking care about the feeling of the other partner. This is an unwise decision which can lead to problem, and it has brought problem to many couples. We talked about stupid pettiness, whereby there's some people, they make a big deal out of small stuff. Something minor happens, you make it a big thing. Something is just an anthill, you make it a mountain. And such kind of issues has brought trouble in a lot of relationships. We also talked about stupid power, an attitude whereby you never lose an argument, you'll always argue with your husband, you'll always argue with your wife, and in your argument, you must be the winner. You must always show that you are in control, you'll never lose, and not only that, you forget that in the process, you're hurting your husband, you're hurting your wife. It's a stupid act and immature, and will always bring regress in relationships. And finally, last time we finished with stupid priorities. Here we say that you're consuming all your time and energy with work, hobbies, herald, chores, missions, and you don't create time for your partner. When priorities are not right, usually marriages and relationships get into big crisis. What we have for today then? What are other stupid decisions which couple make that we need to understand? Number 6, that's what we call stupid happiness. I'll repeat again, stupid happiness. What is stupid happiness? Now, this is seeking stimulation and assurance from all the wrong places to satisfy your immature need to feel good versus to be good. I repeat again, it's an act whereby someone seeks stimulation and assurance from all wrong places to satisfy your immature need to feel good versus to be good. Now, when couples start getting to maturity, it becomes paramount for them to understand one thing: be good than be a person who always seek to feel good. Feelings should always come and go. Now, where the challenge comes is when a crisis happens between two couples. And today is so much common. You find a husband and a wife that are in crisis, then someone will post a statement on social media so that other people can have sympathy with him or her, and a lot of sympathy. Paul, yeah, you better be free. It is important for you to be free. It's not a must to be a man. It's not a must to be a woman. Men are dog. Women are just but blah, 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 blah. Now you are seeking a lot of stimulation and excitement from all wrong places. What you're forgetting is marriage is not a community development project. Other people's opinion about the uniqueness and difference of your relationship does not matter. So one of the most mistake we make is that we always seek for other people's opinion on our relationship. When they excite us, they tell us what our ears want to hear at the expense of how our children will suffer, how our wife will suffer, how our husband will suffer. You are the product and the producer of your own joy and happiness. Don't depend on third parties to make you feel good and happy. Be good. Make right decision. Don't expose your family challenges to the public so that it's in the social media, you can get a lot of likes, and by the end of the day, you remain destroyed, wrecked, and for those who are wise, they see you as a mature, foolish individual. We call it stupid happiness. Sometimes others go even further to go for clubbing, drinking, getting married, getting drunk. Some even they can go to the church and they discuss to everybody about their family problem in the name of a prayer need, so that people can can sympathize with them and they can feel happy at least. Please, if you need to talk, look for a marriage therapist or get a mature, stable person and share your issues so that you can get help. Stupid happiness always brings a lot of disaster in our relationship. Be wise and be good, not just be a person who runs to feel good. Number 7, stupid excuses. Stupid excuses. Now, why is it important to understand what is all about these stupid excuses? Now, instead of acknowledging misdeeds and being accountable and responsible, you fight back with all excuses that just cause more damage. Here is when we say you need to learn to apologize. Now, no man is perfect, no woman is perfect, no marriage is perfect in any way. Each and every relationship need time and moment to grow and to develop. Now, in growth and development, now you need to understand one thing. For your relationship to be smooth, the rubber must meet the road. Just like if you buy a tire for a car and it is rough for gripping, for it to be smooth, the rubber must meet the road so that it can be smooth. Now, that one means differences on how we think, how we perceive things, and even how we do things is not a problem in essence. But living in a lifestyle and a relationship whereby you are always the victim, the other party is always the bad person, is what leads us to what we call stupid excuses. Whereby when something happens which is not appropriate, instead of acknowledging the misdeed, and you take accountability over the crisis you have, you take accountability over the situation you have, you start coming up with a lot of excuses without being responsible over the action, which over the event which has just taken place. Now, stupidity here is when you start fighting back with excuses to justify yourself for the damage caused. You had a difference. Instead of taking responsibility to share and discuss your differences, you rush to your mother-in-law, you rush to your father-in-law. You expose to your wife, you expose to your husband. Now, none of your people respect your husband and respect your wife. And now, after you have reconciled with each other and your spouse is trying to reach out to your people, there's a very big wall between them and him. And the worst part is this: you are not aware, neither are you ready to take responsibility and to acknowledge that rushing to share your differences at home with them is the cause of the difference and the crisis you have. Learning to take responsibility is important. And not only that, learning to take responsibility and also learning to apologize. In case you made a decision and it didn't work for your good, you need to learn to apologize. It's very important. But do you know something? To apologize is not always easy. It is not always easy. You must learn the art of apology. Very important. Why? Taking responsibility of your wrong choices in your relationship is a sign of maturity. Apologizing for your 1% contribution to your problem is a sign of maturity. But blaming someone for 99% of his problem without acknowledging your 1% of contribution of your problem, which you have at hand, it's an act of stupidity. And here is when you need to learn to apologize. Do you know something? If today you get a man or a woman who knows how to apologize, it's either, for the women, it's either because of religious godly value system, or she was brought up well with the right value system. If not those two, it's because of being naive and there's nothing else they can do in that marriage. For the same way, a man who knows how to apologize is because of the right value system which has been brought up with, or because he's jobless and penniless, and he has to do that for peace to prevail. How can we learn the art of apology? Now, there's a guy who I like so much because he has talked to us, he has given us, he'll give us some tips on how to learn to apologize in case there's a difference. How can you learn to say sorry? Listen to what he says.
Don't you hate it when you hurt someone you love? How to say sorry when you've done that. This is one of those things that's not if, it's when. Because we're all going to do it. In fact, Bishop Desmond Tutu wrote a book about forgiveness. And he said, we are all broken. And from that brokenness, we hurt each other. And then he set up forgiveness as the healing path that we can take once it's happened. So it's going to happen, and you've probably noticed it. And probably you're dealing with something right now where just because of some brain cramp that got in your way and had you do something that hurt someone that you love. You know what? I hate this. Personally, I love my wife so much. And I'm constantly doing stupid, brain-dead kinds of things that have her feeling hurt. I don't want to do it. You can probably relate, right? We don't want to hurt them, but we do. So acknowledging that, what can we do to make an appropriate apology, to say that we're sorry, to convey that in a way that really is meaningful? Do you remember when you're a little kid and you did something that hurt someone and your mom said, "What do you say?" And you're like, "I'm sorry, gosh." Right? How does that come across? Yeah, that's not it. So 5 tips for you. And the first one is be sincere. Okay, I know that you are, because you're trying to find out a way to solve this. Be sincere. That superficial, I just need to meet the requirement kind of approach is not going to fly. Okay, and that usually makes it worse. So it has to come from the most sincere place in your own heart and mind, that you really care about this issue and you want to make it right. Be sincere. Tip number 2, be specific. So it's not just, "I am so sorry." Okay, that's sincere, right? But it's not specific. Sorry for what? Yeah. So you get to come to terms with the boneheaded thing that you did and be very specific about that. Now that leads to tip number 3, and let's talk about these two together, because being sincere has to be tied to number 3. Focus on the person who was hurt, not you. All right? So I'm sorry that I'm such an idiot. No, that's specific. It's not very sincere, actually. It's really more self-deprecating. Be sincere and focus on the person who was hurt. I am so sorry that I caused you to be late for that important meeting. Okay, now that is both specific and sincere. All right? Specific and sincere, and it's focused on the person who was hurt. Those are the first 3 tips. Number 4 is going to help too. Stay in front of your butt. Spelled B-U-T. All right? But shows up and gets in our way sometimes. Well, I'm really sorry that I did that. But now what's coming next? Yeah, some kind of a justification or shifting the blame to someone else. You got to stay in front of your butt. And what that means is when you hear the but coming in your own mind, stop, pause, zip it at that point. Stay in front of whatever you say before the but. Okay? So I am really sorry that I caused you to be late for that important meeting. If you say but, you just spoiled the whole thing. And you took the focus off of the person who was hurt in the first place, and it's coming back to, but you didn't tell me that you needed to be there by then, or you did this or that caused me to do whatever that caused us to be late. No, don't go there. Stay in front of your butt. And then tip number 5. I'll review all of these here in just a sec. Tip number 5. When it's appropriate, offer to share what you have learned or what your commitment is moving forward. So in addition to saying you're sorry in a sincere and specific way that focuses on the person who's been hurt, you're staying in front of your butt, and you're showing them that you are bright enough and attentive enough to learn from your mistakes so that as you move forward, it's less likely that it's going to happen again. So can you picture how that could play out? You give your sincere, specific apology focused on the person who was hurt, staying in front of your butt. And then you say something like, you know what I've really learned from this is that I need to track a little better what other people are doing and not get so caught up in my own thoughts, because I want to be there for you in the future. You can count on me moving forward to not repeat that mistake. I really don't want to hurt you. Do you see how that could possibly help you to not only do an appropriate apology, but to take some important steps forward in building this relationship in a powerful and healthy way? If you're new to the channel, click subscribe. We've got new videos coming out every day. I'll see you tomorrow.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. That's really great, really nice, really informative. Be honest, sincere, specific, stay in front of the word but lakini, and finally share what you have learned. Now, this is a very important concept which once you understand it will help. You know, in the African context, if today you walk and instead, in case you stumble on a rock or a stone, ujikwai, as we call it in Swahili, what will a typical African say? This stone has just knocked my leg. We blame the stone, yet the stone has been there all through. Instead of acknowledging it is you who have knocked it. So we are in a society whereby we have been raised up in blaming everything for each and every situation which we are in. So we become, actually, we get to a point of having a master's degree in complaining, murmuring, and blaming everybody. By the way, this problem started long time ago from the time of Adam and Eve. When God asked Adam, "Where are you?" he said, I'm hiding. Why are you hiding? What did he tell God? It is this woman you gave me. Hey, madam, what's up? It's not me, it's the snake. Blame shifting has been there for a long time, and it gives room for people to have excuses which are not healthy in one way or the other. We must learn in one way or the other. For us to grow and to be mature in a relationship, we need to learn also to overcome what we call stupid excuses, and we take responsibility of ourselves. Yeah, I can hear there's some people who are participating with us. Let me read some of the feedbacks I have. Let's see. From Wahome Gitonga, he says, tuned, I'm late, but we'll watch. Yes, don't worry. I also started late today. We are on the same page with you. Thank you, Mr. Wahome. Again, Wahome says, number 6, some of pastors and churches are problems to the current marriages. It can be possible. Not every pastor is gifted or trained to handle issues like marriage and relationships. And that becomes extremely important. You can have a pastor who is a very good preacher, but the skills to reconcile people and to address the issue of marriages, either they have not trained in it or they're not skilled in it. So where they are strong, enjoy all the benefit. Where they're not good and trained well, take advantage of others who are equipped in that area, and that will help you very much. Thank you. That was from Mahome. He was talking about that. Then again, Mahome says that another issue is holier than thou attitude. Yeah, it is possible. If you have holier than thou attitude, you'll always be seeing the other person as a sinner, wicked individual, even though you chose by yourself to become husband and wife. This is an attitude which Jesus was always condemning and which the Pharisees had most of the time. Home continues to say, number 7 is very true. Thank you very much. We have Daniel Mutunga who says, learning to apologize. It's a big task. It is true. Learning to apologize, it's not easy. It's something which you have to grow, we have to develop by ourselves in one way or the other. Then let's hear again. Another comment coming from Wahome once more. He says, but Reverend Bolo, I respect you a lot, but how can you forgive those stupid in-laws family members who interfere with our marriage mpaka to me we separate? I hate these in-laws. I hate them. What happens if your in-laws interfere with your marriage to the point of separating? First, separate yourself from the state of separation. Separate yourself from you, your wife, your people. Don't allow third-party opinion to consume you to the point whereby forgiveness become an issue. Now, why is it important? Now, when someone offends you and you don't learn to forgive, it's like taking poison by yourself and expecting your enemy to die. it will never work. No wonder the scripture says that when you are angry in your anger, do not let the sun go down while you are still in anger. Why do you think that instruction was given in the scriptures? Psychologists have found out that once you get offended and you're angry, and you take your anger in more than 24 hours, what happens is this: the chemicals released in your system because of your anger, which goes more than 24 hours, reduce your 5 years of existence. I'll repeat again. Psychologists have found out that when you are angry and your anger goes beyond 24 hours, the chemicals released in your system because of your anger at that point and unforgiveness reduce your 5 years of existence. Meaning that when your in-laws or anybody else offends you, the best thing you need to do first, guard your heart against everything from bitterness, anger, and unforgiveness. Stand on your ground, on your side. Acknowledge the role you have played in that particular problem. Let others, from where they are, with their opinion, stay with it so that you guard yourself against everything. Yes, you have Betty Sirengo who says, true. Thank you, Betty Sirengo, all the way from Eldoret. I really appreciate your participation this particular point and time. Very encouraging, so nice, and so good at the same time. What else? Number 8. Stupid liaison. Stupid liaisons. Now, what is stupid liaison? This is staying attached to relatives and friends who are outright bad influence and destructive to yourself and your relationship, and allowing these folks to hurt your partner. That's what called stupid liaison. Staying attached to relatives and friends who are outright bad influence. It is good we have a relationship. It is good we have relatives, but it's important for us to understand some of the relatives we have, they are bad influence to our relationship, to ourselves, or sometimes to one of the spouse. No wonder you need to understand the moment you say, I do, you are disconnecting yourself from them to start a new kingdom, whereby your husband becomes the king, you become the queen. And you come up with a new system of governance. But the moment you start entertaining third parties to intrude your relationship, it's been stupid. Staying attached to relatives and friends who outright have bad influence and destructive to yourself and your relationship. If the opinion of your relatives are contrary to the rules and the law of relationship, contrary to the rules and the laws of the good book, be very careful. When you are going to lose your husband or you are going to lose your wife, suddenly they are going to reject you and separate themselves from you. You'll be as a fool in their own eyes. Why? Every man and woman under normal circumstance minus crisis in life desires to have the best relationship. Then why do you entertain the opinion of your relatives who never made it in their marriage? Who have never made it in their relationship? Even at work, they are not relating well with workmates. They are not relating very well with their neighborhood. They are not relating very well. They never related very well with their wife, neither their husband. Then they become your consultant. You don't need a prophet to know that you will fail. Unless the relative who had passed through a lot of negative issues in the past and they learned their role and they're protecting you from falling into their own trouble, which they did when they thought they were wise and they were not wise. We call it stupid liaison, whereby you stay attached to relatives and friends who are outright bad influence and destructive to yourself and your relationship, and allowing this folk to hurt your partner. Never allow your wife or your husband to be hurt at the expense of other people. Never. Why? Marriage is not a community development project. Marriage is not a church assembly. Even in your own church, if the elders, the pastor, the prophets, and the apostles, their opinion are towards breaking a relationship, get out of that church. It's not representing God. Get out from it. Look for another church. If it is your relative, pull away from them. Stay away from them until the time they'll get back to their sense. Don't allow your children, don't allow your wife, don't allow your husband to be hurt because of your relative. If your mother never made it, there's no way you'll make it with the same philosophy she used. If your dad never made it, there's no way you'll make it if you're going to use the same principle they're using and mindset. And you know something? Nature, God, and the society will finally judge you for your stupid liaison. I think it has gotten to you well. Number 9, stupid mismatch. Stupid mismatch. Now, what's this? Now, this is the art where you see red flag clearly, and yet you stay around trying to put a square peg in a round hole. Not knowing when you leave, not knowing when to leave, and cut your losses. Seeing the red flag clearly, and yet you stay around trying to put a square peg in a round hole. You know, there are times whereby you can see some red flags from your partner. Even sometimes when you're courting, you can see some red flags. This guy hates his father and mother. What makes you think you'll be loved more than them? This person hates his brothers and sisters. It's an enemy to their cousins. What makes you think that you're going to have a good relationship with that person? Because the fundamental basis of where to love, respect, and differentiate is not intact. So now when you're courting and your partner is jumping up and down from one person to the other, then you start having this kind of a mindset. I think the kind of love I have, I'll pull him away from all the women, and I'll make sure that I love him until he'll never go to any woman again. You are not God. You are not Jesus. You are not the Messiah. If the person cannot decide to live right, you better, by seeing that red flag, my friend, pull out. Pull out. Even sometimes in marriage, there's some red flags which come on our way, but sometimes we give ourselves false hope and false confidence and false faith. And that's why sometimes in marriage, we need, when counseling starts taking place, when a process of reconciliation starts taking place, and one partner is not willing to change, it's healthy to have a time of separation so that each person can sit down, think, and know their role in the current crisis they are in. Don't entertain a situation whereby you are so blind to real situations. Yes, your neighbor might have noticed something weird with your one of your partner or your children, and the way they spoke it is not good, but the idea really exists. Just a common blunder as we do. Then you start blaming the devil. We start blaming our neighbors and other people are trying to let there's something wrong. I'm seeing something weird. The kind of people associating with your husband, your wife, they're not the best. So what happens? Because you are in Chama, you start hating your neighbor, you start hating your husband, you start hating your people, because they are genuinely giving you alerts because of the red flag. Now, at this particular point, when the red flags are existing, and you get to the point of trying to deny, and red flags are there, and are not willing to know when to pull back and to confront the situation, you will be the loser by the end of the day. Always be very keen to identify red flags, create a notification, address the issue, spare the person. If you do that, it will help you by the end of the day. you are going to become a better person. And finally, number 10, disconnecting for all wrong reasons. Disconnecting for all wrong reasons. As I started by saying that we have different backgrounds as husband and wife, we have grown up in different tradition and culture, our worldview, even sometimes our level of education might be that big. Sometimes it may be intercultural marriage, whereby the culture of both parties is that big, so different. Now, these differences are not a problem. Problem come when you take advantage of biasness over your opinion to the point of disconnecting with your husband or your wife for wrong reasons. So because your father cannot sleep very well because of your differences, so you decide to go back to your father and leave your husband alone. Or you go back to your mom and you leave your wife alone. Why? Because your mom is not happy. Why do you disconnect from your wife because of the opinion of your mom? Why is it that the emotional state of your mom becomes a reason to justify sadness in your relationship? It's a stupid thing. Why? Call it stupid breakup. You're just breaking your wife because of the opinion of your people. You're just breaking the husband because of the opinion of your people, your neighbors and other people. You have not taken time to confront the situation, to discuss the situation, to call third parties who can help you, and you pull back. Now, the funny thing which you most of the time we don't know is this. As you are pulling back to leave your wife and your husband, widows and widowers are really admiring if they could have been in the same situation and they solved the problem. Those who have been divorced and separated, when they just look at you and your reasons for getting out of your relationship, they desire if they could have been in the same situation and they confront their difference and solve their problems. Sometimes what we need to know is to learn problem-solving skills. Than to disconnect and to break up because of the post which you saw on Facebook, on Twitter, on other social media platforms. What will people think about me? Don't care. What you think about your wife, what you think about your husband, what you think about your family is the most important thing that other people thought about your relationship. Even if something wrong happened, please don't allow other people's opinion to interfere with your relationship. It's divine, it's unique, it is good. Work on it, solve the problem, progress, come up with the goals and purpose for your life. Don't allow yourself to be consumed by other people's opinion. Should I blame myself? Should I blame you? Absolutely not. But if you don't take any action from today to learn more and to become better, you are there to blame. I understand marriage is the only institution in our society whereby we get in with ignorance, except feelings for sex and someone to protect you. And when these things happen, it's an evidence of the consequence of our ignorance, regardless of high expectations we have for our tomorrow. And that's why Rebuilding Family Foundation every Friday comes on air so that you can add value to yourself. By the way, if you go to our Facebook, our YouTube page, Rebuilding Family Foundation, there are a lot of recorded topics about marriage and relationship. Please get in, subscribe, learn, add knowledge to yourself. By design, my passion, if only one family will be saved, if one family will be reconciled, if one family will be reunited through Rebuilding Family Foundation, I'll be happy because a family is being built through our program. Once more, remember, nobody is perfect, no marriage is perfect, but you have the principles of God which can perfect you day after day. But are you willing to learn? Soon we are going to have a training on parenting. Make sure you don't miss it. It will be cheap, affordable, but very empowering. So don't miss this program until the time you hear me talking about the parenting class. Make sure that you'll be among those who are going to join the parenting class and learn on how you can be effective parent, how you can become an effective husband, an effective wife. We need to learn. If you think what I'm talking about is making a lot of sense, and it's one way or the other is giving you some insight, kindly post something and recommend. Let me get back to listen to these other great people. Michael Mwengi says, Asante Reverend. Welcome, Michael. I really appreciate you for attending this forum. Yes, Ome Gitonga once more says, Reverend Bolo, you are a great man. Thank you very much. I appreciate for your compliment and also for you attending and showing up to add value to yourself. He answered by saying, yes, number 8. This is the point with our issues, the in-laws. In-laws can be the best relative and the best friends, but if nothing good is done, they can be the worst enemies and the worst people. But that's not what God intends. We need to be the best for our own self. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you, Betty Surengo. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Ahome. I'd like to appreciate Daniel Motunga, those who text. I know there's some people, I usually meet with them in the town and they tell me, I usually follow up your program, but they don't comment anything. They don't send any message. Kindly, I request you every time, subscribe with us, send some information. It motivates me on this other side. Apart from that, it gives us cause which will help us as time moves on. Good night, good morning, good evening from any part of the world you're joining us today in Rebuilding Family Foundation. Send this link to most of your friends. Let them get to join us and to learn from us. Thank you very much. Let's connect next time, even as we continue with our gracious, glorious program as we learn and add knowledge to ourselves.